Welcome to the Blueprint Podcast, where the blueprint to understanding a new and unified world is in our shifting consciousness.
Hey everyone, thank you for joining us on the Blueprint Podcast. I have Renee Keene with me today. How are you today, Renee?
I am doing well. It's a glorious day. How about you?
I'm doing good. So I think we need to talk a little bit about some of the updates that have been happening with New Earth and kind of maybe give some more explanation and some other, something about them. So the first thing I wanted to bring up was that Andromeda, the galaxy Andromeda, is now merged with our galaxy, and it is here to support the 13th D frequencies with their special gifts of technology to help rid our galaxy of malicious extraterrestrials. And of course, they are probably the biggest supporters of spiritual growth in the universe, as far as I can tell. Well, besides maybe the Lyrans. So this does not mean that Andromeda will be taking over our galaxy, not by any means. It simply means that the frequencies, vibrations, and energies that they hold are readily available for us. So, which is probably why we're seeing a huge increase of AI technologies, because Andromeda does carry AI technologies, but they're mostly used in spiritual growth and expansion. But, Andromeda is one of the, in my experience with Andromeda energy, it's very, very benevolent. Like, it's very neutral, I want to say, more than anything else. The energies of Andromeda is very neutrally kind of experience. But again, they do have extreme technologies and they don't really put up, even though there's a neutral kind of energy, they don't really put up with detrimental kind of energy, ones that are into extreme control, domination, like that kind of, they have no way to put up with it.
The way I see the Andromedan energy is it's just very, I'm going to use the word tolerant, of allowing everyone, so that's the neutrality piece again, of everyone to be who they are. But there is a line. And when you cross it, like you said, into anything that might be harmful to others, then there's this calm, like, energy. But the minute it moves to another level, they're like, nope, not tolerating that. It's a really cool energy. I go to Andromeda a lot for achieving that within myself. I find I'm getting too judgmental, or I'm not being tolerant about something, or that's when I'll say, okay, I need to pull that piece in, because that piece really shows me the way.
Yeah, I would agree. I feel also that Andromeda is very much, we were talking about this the other day, how Andromeda is very much into, what's the idea that I want to share here? That they are very benevolent or neutral or tolerant. And like we said, there is a line that gets crossed, and when it's crossed, the Andromeda Wars, I think that they learned a lot about themselves and how to actually operate in a universe that's based in duality. And they're more than willing to share, I think, in our cosmic wars, like the Milky Way's cosmic wars, which I feel like this is kind of what we're in right now, as a sort of a competition to who's going to dominate, the Milky Way galaxy. I think that we're in a kind of a crossroads here, And I feel like Andromeda is a great place to pull in that more benevolent kind of energy, like you said. And how we can use it in our own life is through non-judgmental kinds of ways of being, ways of thinking, having that kind of neutrality, or just not having that competitive judgment that humans are so immersed in. There's really no need to compete, as far as I can tell.
It's a very well, that's maybe not even the correct terminology, because of those Andromedan wars, because of what they've experienced and they remember experiencing. That's what's made them who they are. They're here to help show us how we can achieve that same neutrality, that same level of tolerance, non-judgment. And I'm really grateful. I don't even know if the word's grateful, but I really appreciate that they're here to assist us.
Yeah, for sure. And they're willing to share their technology. I think that that's a huge thing in the entire universe, is that we need to, maybe this is another component or another headline for what we're talking about today, is working within a universal mind versus I'm here on Earth and this is the only thing that exists, which is not true. I think that moving into that universal kind of perspective of how can the galaxies work together, how can star systems within the galaxies all work, not only within their own galaxy, but within other galaxies, and as a universal perspective versus just, here I am in my little house based on Earth, minding my own business.
Exactly. It's a really great opportunity for us. And the technology part, how do we embrace all of that in a way that isn't domineering, that isn't manipulative? That's one of the big pieces I think we're going to glean from this experience.
Yeah, for sure. So another area that is really important and an upgrade in the new Earth, where we're headed, is becoming your highest point of ascension, or your higher self, or really embodying that part of you, because we can't continue with who we've been, right? And as we continue to create new Earth foundations, every person here on Earth plays a vital role in it. No matter what you may think about your role, it's vital that you understand that you play a vital role here, because every one of us will sooner or later bridge old Earth and new Earth. And you're going to do that by embodying your highest self, what you might see as your highest self, your highest point of ascension, like your channel, like I've seen it explained that way, like you're a very clear channel, like you're the channel of something, right? Probably your highest self. But just you acknowledging that your higher self will be the one that makes the shift easier and quicker for you. And I feel like the quicker that you can embody that, the quicker the shift will happen. So what's your perspective?
Really, I would agree with that. And that's a piece that I would really like people to understand, I guess I'm going to use that word, that you are here at this particular time, at this particular shift in consciousness, and you came here because you chose to be here to participate in this. So I'm really hoping people will understand that they can wake up to understanding that there are no small roles and there are no giant roles. We all have the role we agreed to play in this. And to really dive deep into one's own consciousness, one's own self, one's highest sense of ascension, highest point of ascension, that only gets us where we need to be quicker. It's time to stop being distracted. It's time to stop worrying about what has happened on Earth and going back into all the past experiences. It's time to shift over. It's time to find that bridge that takes us from old Earth to new Earth. And so that's what I would just encourage each and every one, even if this concept is not necessarily fully integrated into you at this point in time, it really is the time. It really is now when you need to look at that and say, well, where does this sit? Where does this whole concept sit within me? Because you agreed to participate. So did I.
Yeah, I feel like everyone here on Earth at this time, their roles, they may not be consciously aware of what their role is, but the more that we can spread, the importance, I feel, of knowing who you are, that becomes more and more visible. And so when we're talking about, really becoming and embodying and really moving into new Earth frequencies, it's not like it's a foreign concept for us. Like we've always been evolutionizing something someplace. I mean, every single human being on Earth, there's always an evolution happening. Every single day there's an evolution happening. And so it's not like we don't know where to go or how to do things. It's the fact that we acknowledge it. That's the ticket that makes you decide. When you acknowledge something, there's something that happens within you that says, oh, here it is. Then what happens is you feel like this inner, deeper experience happening. You may just totally brush it off, whatever it is, but inside of you that there's a decision that's been made and that you're here for something else. That is what some people call the awakening. Some of us have really brutal awakenings. Some of us have real easy awakenings. Some of us came in awakened, right? And so I think that the acknowledgement, right, that we are in an evolutionary time frame, like a even though I said evolution is always happening, those are on smaller scales than what we're having right now. And this bigger evolution component that we're experiencing and working through has everything to do with you acknowledging that you have an energy, a vibration, a soul, whatever words you want to say, that is going to be leading the way. That's the importance of embodying your higher self, your higher points of ascension, whatever words you want to put to that. But that is the shift. That's the real shift. We're moving out of this egoic kind of field and more into a energy-led field where, telepathy, teleportation, telekinesis, all the things that we've talked about are becoming a reality.
Yes, when I was talking about, we all came with our different roles. What I'd like to encourage people as they come to that point, Angie, where they can look at that, it's like maybe the role you agreed to is to be the voice at work in your place of business that no longer gossips.
Yeah.
That no longer creates division or competition, works as a team. Maybe that is your piece in this new shift. So it's in looking at some of the very simple things in each and every day that we exist in how we can create this bridge moving forward, consciously seeing, oh man, I just jumped into that conversation that was talking about somebody, but to stop that. Well, when we can stop it in ourselves, we can help others stop it or see it. And they're very small parts of what this looks like. But if every person did that, wow, how the energy shifts in our whole world, because it has completely moved from one place to another. And you can be the bridge of that. So you can take that and apply it however it fits in your life. It's just it's not always hard. Sometimes it's very easy.
I think you brought up a really good point. It's like the simpler that we take things or move through things, it's always the simple things. Like not every one of us sit on the Universal Council. Who wants to sit on the, I mean, it's a hard job. But the more that I change in my own day-to-day life, the bigger the shift becomes. The more powerful the shift becomes, the more powerful you become, because it's those ridding yourself of any beliefs, ridding yourself of any traumas that you've experienced, ridding yourself of, the whole following along versus leading your own self, always looking outside of yourself for somebody else to give you an answer, and you actually getting the answer yourself for who you are. Like that's personal power. We talk about power a lot, right? And when you can become personally powerful, you can shift anything in your life. So I think the third concept is personal power, like really knowing who you are and letting your authentic self be the driving force here.
That's not always easy.
No, that's probably some of the hardest work we have to do.
Easy. I just had to go through something where I had to be my authentic self in my birth family. And it was, okay, respond. How do I respond to this? And it was just like, no, I'm not going to participate in that. It doesn't resonate with me. And how angry some people can get because they think you're being stubborn, they think you're whatever. In reality, you're just holding your own space of power. In reality, you're just speaking your own authentic truth. And in the end, it can look like, wow, well, maybe I don't want to do that either, because you put another concept into someone's thought patterns where they're like, well, yeah, I guess that really isn't quite what I'm into either. And so it can be a little, I'll call it scratchy, itchy, unkind things can be said. But when we hold to our authentic self and when we can truly understand who we are, I don't want to participate in that, and speak to it, that too can really shift everyone. It gives everyone a pause to look where they would just maybe follow along.
Right. If we're doing any forecasting, I'm going to say that's probably going to be the biggest shift that we're going to see in 2024 is people saying, yeah, no, I'm not participating any longer in these games. I mean, really, that's what it is. It's these games, mental, emotional games of power and destruction. And, it's going to take humanity to say, no, I'm not playing in that game any longer. But I think that we're going to see the biggest shift in personal power in 2024. And of course, Pluto is here to help us get rid of any of the things that don't serve us any longer, or any of the ideas, the belief systems, the traumas that we've experienced, so that we can move into our own personal power. I think that that's probably the biggest thing that I see with clients is people really want to know and understand personal power.
Mm-hmm. And how to apply it.
Yes.
It's like we can have that understanding, and yet to actually utilize it or step into it in our own personal lives, that's a whole nother, you can see it, you can feel it, but it's when you step outside of what everyone expects or whatever the norm has been and can say, not going to participate.
Right. Well, I think that that's one, I think that in personal power, once we rid ourselves or heal ourselves of any traumas or belief systems that no longer serve us, or emotions, understanding emotions at a deeper level, like those I feel are the three components that really move you deeper into your authentic self. It's one thing to say I'm my authentic self, but if you're not actually carrying out the action, right? Because it takes the action that will actually becomes the embodiment component. But if you're not actually taking action steps that carry that out, by, for example, Renee, standing up and saying, we're not going to participate in that any longer, right? That's the action step that needed to be taken. But, if we can't actually do that, then I'm going to say there's still things in your energy field, trauma, wounds, something that are still holding you back. Maybe it's a belief system, maybe it's, perception, takes, whatever. But it's those components that, and I'm not 100% saying that all of us have to be healed. I don't believe that that's true. I think that we can bypass that and jump right into evolution, but we have real fear about evolution because we've done it in the past. Maybe it didn't work out the way we wanted it to, or maybe it ended up in a human wiping. But I think that we all have that within us. It's just some of us are very much into baby steps versus jumping off the cliff kind of mentality. So, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and I think you really touched on it when you used the word fear, because I think oftentimes that action step, even though you know what it is and you just sit back and don't take that action step, oftentimes it's because there's a fear about they won't like me anymore. They won't love me anymore. I'll be kicked out of the group. I'll be abandoned. So it always goes, in my observation, it's always going back to some fear that's going to affect you, and you aren't sure if you can actually let that go.
Right. Because that relates to the wound that you've had somewhere along the way.
Exactly. So it's just being able to do that is huge.
Yeah.
And it takes courage.
It does.
It takes courage to take the action step, whatever it might be. It takes courage. It takes bravery. It takes sovereignty. It takes all of that. Yeah,
sovereignty is a good word there, because even though we want to be sovereign and we want to have the freedoms, we don't really understand what that is. Because we've always lived in a world of duality, and in this world of duality, we've always had the negative or the lacking components of duality. We've not really experienced the positives or the abundances of duality, which is where we're headed, right? It's not going to happen overnight, because we have to, transform all these other negative or lacking kind of beliefs and rules. I don't know what else to call their rules that we're abiding by, but those are the things that have to be transformed in order. But, in transformation, there has to be destruction before there can be creation. And that, again, brings up a lot of fear in all of us.
So true.
Yeah.
So very true.
Yes.
Pluto's bringing a lot to us. I'm just going to say.
Yeah. Yes.
A lot of really cool opportunity to really understand ourselves at the deepest level as we move through the experiences of how do I want to proceed? Am I willing to step into my next piece? Can I take action on something I know is better for all of humanity?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think that we have fear about even embodying our higher self.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And, what's that going to look like? If I actually become my higher self, who's going to leave my life? Well, who says anybody has to leave your life? If we're actually believing in abundance, all of it can work together. And we don't have to have any of these weird beliefs and thoughts that we have about, people or things leaving your life, because if you're moving into a world of abundance, isn't everything readily available for you?
It absolutely is.
Again, that's a belief system that we don't really embody.
I had an interesting question from someone within the last week or so, and they asked about embodying, what that looked like. They said, how do you embody we were talking about the divine masculine, divine feminine, but how do you embody that? And I thought, well, that is a cool piece of information to talk about, because we each can do it differently. There isn't like a set recipe that says, well, first you do this, and then you do this, and then you do that. It's your own way in which you take it within yourself and make it yours and make it a part of your being. That's the embodiment piece. You can leave stuff sit out here and see it and not really live it. So I thought that was a cool question.
Yeah. Embodiment is really about living what you're a moral or a value, right? Or something that you want. So like when we're talking about embodying our higher self, higher points of ascension, embodying a channel, for example, this is probably a really good one. When you embody that, you literally become it, right? Like you become that being, you become that being or that aspect of something other than yourself. So if you're embodying, let's say if we're going to embody the masculine energy within us, we literally have to become masculine energy, but we get to put the parameters on what that looks like. We are the deciding factor. Doesn't mean that I'm going to believe in authoritarian kind of perspective. It doesn't mean that I'm going to believe in a hierarchy. It doesn't, it's just that I am embodying or becoming masculine energy fields, vibrations, frequencies. It means that I am changing my belief from this is what a feminine is and this is what a masculine is, and maybe I'm going to embody both of them, which means you become androgynous. Then there's an equality to both of them, but you know when to use masculine energy and when to use feminine energy. That's where the personal power comes in. So I think that embodying, I feel like we've had some trauma about that in the past. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Especially if we're talking about embodying your higher self, that means you become, you have the ability to open yourself up to different ways of thinking, different ways of feeling, different ways of responding or reacting to the world, different ways of seeing the world, different ways of, seeing the universe and how, the Earth's role in the universe versus just being an Earth. So I think that's where all the fears come in is, wait, I have to change? Yes, you do. Yes, you get to change.
Yeah. And that's a key word. You don't have to, you get to.
Yeah.
You get to.
Yeah. I don't understand the whole fear around change. Like I thrive in change.
Me too.
Like I get so bored and I just can't stay monotonous.
Oh, I so agree with you on that. And there are times in your life when you do have a hesitancy, I'm going to say, about moving into something because it is brand new. Mm-hmm. So you can jump off the cliff, as Angie will say, or you can just kind of go, I can feel that a little bit in my heart. There's something to that. Now I get to look at it. Now I get to investigate further. I can check in with my highest point of ascension. I can check in with my heart. I can check in with my stomach, whatever your deal is. I can read a book on it and see if I can find a piece of information in there. You can take your time moving into things. Just don't take too long.
Yeah. We have an urgency.
We're at a fast pace right now. So it's like,
yeah,
just don't take too long.
We have a sense of urgency, not a sense of emergency.
No,
they're not equal, but we do have a sense of urgency right now. And I think we're gonna expedite that into 2024 as well. That we make some fairly big shifts here. And the earth is always on board for that, because the earth doesn't want to stay where we are either, because she's literally dying, the old earth anyway.
Yeah. The old earth is pretty much, shifted her energy to the new earth.
yeah, for sure. And I think that's another component of new earth updates, is we are not going to have another earth alongside us. This is a shift in consciousness, which brings new frequencies, new energies to the present earth, and humans that live on earth, and the animals that live on earth, and the plants and the trees, everything. Like, that is what will be new, is the consciousness, not, another earth. Like, that whole mentality is just, it's false.
We're not going to get on a bridge and walk across it to a new earth. No. That's the metaphor we use, but that's not really what it looks like.
And we're not going to wake up on a new earth with a, I don't know.
Some days it might feel like you're waking up in a new earth as you really figure things out and be like, oh,
right.
Because you feel the different energies. You can feel them coming into you, feel them around you, and it may feel completely different.
Yeah. Yes.
Cool.
Yeah. All right. So those are the new earth updates. If you need help in transitioning or transforming into these frequencies, please reach out to us. We are here to help. Thanks, Renee, for joining us today.
Thanks.
See you next week.
Thank you for being with us today. To find out more about Angela, visit her website at www.angelablaha.com